Hey guys, how's it going? Thank you so much for joining today's session. This is Jason from Yeastar Training Team. Glad to be here with you guys. Thank you so much for your time. And this is going to be our session one of YSCIS, Integration Specialist. Okay, so we're actually got something advanced on our P-Series PBX. Previously in the YSCT, we never mentioned it. Well, for this session, we're actually going to figure them out. So this is going to be day one, session one, and let's just jump in. Okay. So the first thing I'm going to talk about in today's session will be some advanced features on our P-Series PBX. So you guys can actually see my screenshot right now. This is my, I'm actually logged into the system with my user account, all right, which is extension 2000. Okay, so have a look here, guys. That's extension 2000, right? So first thing, I want to explain it here. I'm just logged in as my user account, which is extension 2000. Well, because I have the user permission, so we don't have to worry about that. Basically means when I jump in with extension 2000, but I can still configure everything whatever I want because I have the user permission, like I mentioned before. All right. So you guys can see currently I'm just in the configuration portal. Okay. Now, the first advanced feature I'm going to talk about in today's session is going to be something in the context. So have a look here. Now, as we know previously on the P-Series PBX, we do support contacts, right? That's one of our basic feature. Very important, actually, especially when you try to manage your contacts, you can actually use our contacts feature, right? Well, think about this. Previously, with the contacts feature on the P-Series PBX, the only thing you can do there is you can probably import all of your contact information, your customers, your suppliers, your vendors, whatever, whoever, okay? Well, you can absolutely check those contacts information on your web client, right? For example, if I switch it back on the web client, well, if I get the user permission, I can absolutely check my contacts information over here, right? But here's the deal. Okay, what if we have different contacts? Like I mentioned before, we got some customers, we got some vendors, we have some suppliers. I mean, there's no other choices you have there. You don't have any other options for you to make them be more specific, right? So now on the P-Series PBX, we got better solution, which is called phone books. So phone books features like a Contact Pro, we can make it be more specific. Exactly the thing, I mean, I mentioned before, the situation I mentioned before. You might probably have different groups of people. You want to create different groups to manage those contacts. Like you have customers, you have vendors, you have suppliers, even some other contacts. Who knows, right? So what we want here is we want to make it be more specific. We want to have more, multiple groups, make it be more specific. That's what we're looking for. So now we got a phone box feature. All right. And also, by the way, guys, phone box feature is in the enterprise plan. So make sure you've already activated the enterprise plan. Then you will be able to have this phone box feature. Okay. So have a look. Now, how do we configure the phone box? It's pretty simple. Step one, you just click on contacts and you will see there's a drop-down list. Click on phone box. Then this is just a place for you to create a bunch of phone books, whatever you prefer. All right. For example, you want to create a phone book for your customers, for your clients, for your vendors, whatever. You just give it a name here. All right. For example, like I mentioned, vendors. Then you can basically drop this is going to be the phone book for our vendors. I would just type it in. All right. Then we have members. So here you can select your contacts. So you guys know it. We've already got the contacts feature, right? So what we're supposed to do is you can actually import all of your contacts information on the system first. Then the members here, you can just make your selection, right? You have all company contacts. You can probably select all of them, or maybe you can select some specific company contacts. It depends on you. If you choose specific company contacts, then you will just need to add it one by one. Make it a bit more specific, or if you choose the all company contacts, so all of them will be posted here. That's it. It's very easy, very simple. All right, let's see. I'm gonna choose a few specific company contacts like this. So I will simply click on add. Let's choose a few of them like this. Okay. Now we'll just click on confirm. That's it. So here we go. We just get this contact. I'm sorry. We just get this specific phone book for vendors. Now you can simply click on save. and apply for the changes. There you go. So basically, you guys can see we have banners posted here. That's it. Okay, so generally speaking, the configuration is pretty simple. And also, once again, the phone box feature is exactly the thing I mentioned before. We just try to use the phone box to make it be more specific. So you will have a better solution to manage all of your contacts, make it be more specific. Why not, right? Now, another thing left here is going to be the user permission. Well, you guys probably see that. We can control the user permission. We can grant the user permission for every single one of our extension users to check the contacts before, right? Previously, if they want to manage our contacts, I mean, every single one of our extension users, if they want to manage our contacts, they want to check them, they want to edit them, they want to modify those contacts information, whatever it is, we're supposed to grant the user permission first. Well, now on the phone books, we're going to do the same thing. This feature can be available for every single one of our extension users, or it cannot. It's totally under our control. We're supposed to grant the user permission for every single one of them. So we can basically get back to the extension group, same as usual. Back to extension groups here, and we can probably add a new one. Have a look. So add a new extension group. You can give it a name here. Maybe this is for sales, maybe this is for tech support, or maybe this is for accounting office, whoever, okay? And then choose members, same as usual. This is exactly the same way like what we did before when we try to create a new extension group. And what really matters now is we're gonna click on group permissions. This is the big deal. So back to the group permissions here. Absolutely, we can set the user permission for manager, for people who's gonna work as the manager, or people who's gonna work as the user. And then you will be able to see that here we have view phone books, manage phone books. And here for extension users, I mean for user, for manager, for user, they both have this option. We can enable view phone books and manage phone books, whatever, okay? So this is just the way how we grant the user permission for extension users when they jump into their web client or when they jump into their Linux mobile client, when they try to manage the contacts or even the phone books. That's it. Okay, so this is the first feature I'm going to talk about in today's session. Pretty simple, guys, right? Very simple, but it's really functional, especially when you try to manage multiple contacts. So I guess the best solution for you there is the phone books. Don't forget it, okay? All right, and another feature I'm gonna talk about in today's session is it's gonna be voicemail transcription. So what is the voicemail transcription, guys? Now, first of all, I guess I would like to share with you my presentation here. Got something on the slides, wanna share with you guys. Let's keep going. These are all about phone books. Now have a look. Voicemail transcription, what is this? This is pretty easy to understand, guys. Normally, let's just think about it. Normally, if you got a voicemail, the way how you check voicemail is it's very simple. You know, the only way you can check your voicemail is by playing the audio message, because voicemail is just the audio message, right? You get the voicemail, you can check the voicemail on your web client, on your mobile client, or on your IP phone. Anyway, you're gonna play it. That's the audio file. Well, sometimes probably that's not going to be convenient for us to play the voicemail directly, but we really want to play it. We really want to handle it. It's an important audio message. We just want to handle this right now, right here. How can we do it? So we have a better solution now, is the voicemail transcription. I mean, what if we can check the voicemail by text version directly? That would be pretty awesome, right? So that's it. That's the feature we're going to talk about now, voicemail transcription. So with this new feature on the P-Series PBX, you don't have to worry about it. Next time, if you got a voicemail, you can choose to play it, or you can, transcribe it to the text version. For example, you guys can see I got a screenshot now. I got a voicemail before, so you can see if I transcribe it, it will be posted here. Hey, how's it going? This is Jason. Please call me back. That's it. That's just a voicemail in text version. That's it. Now, talking about this, I guess you probably want to know more details. Exactly how do we realize this feature? Have a look. Let me tell you something, guys. Voicemail transcription, we actually need a third party. Absolutely, we need a third party because there will be a STT server. We need the support from the STT server. Now, this support, we get it from Google Cloud. Okay, so how do we make it work? Technically, this is like the way how we get the transcription version of the voicemail is like this. Now, normally, if someone drop a audio message, the voicemail to you, so the PBX will get the voicemail, right, in the audio version. That's the audio version of the voicemail. Now, once we figure out the integration with the Google Cloud, especially the STT server, then our system will just send this audio message to the STT server directly. And then guess what? STT server going to help us to handle this voicemail, which is called transcription. So it will be an audio message, but the STT server basically going to take this audio message and transcribe it to the text version and then give us the feedback. So that text version of the voicemail going to be sent back to our PBX. And then for extension users, they're going to get the user experience. So the user experience for them is going to be the text version of the voicemail presented on their smart devices. If you're using Lincoln's web client on your computer or tablet, or maybe you can check your voicemail on your smartphone. Anyway, that's the way how we realize it. So I got a few screenshots here I want to share with you guys about the configuration, because the Google Cloud, that's not a free service. I'm sorry. So if I jump in, some of the configurations I cannot make it work, but I got a few screenshots want to share with you guys. When we try to enable this feature, pretty simple. Step one, I mean, it's kind of like your preparation, okay? Your preparation, you can probably go access Google Cloud Platform. This is step one, okay? Just jump into the Google Cloud Platform, and you can see there. I got a screenshot there, my first project. So simply click on that. You're gonna start a new project right now on the Google Cloud. And just click on this, there's a pop-up window, absolutely. Click on new project. This is step one, what you're supposed to do. And then here, check here. So when you click on that, and you will be able to see something called here, API library. Okay, go access this place. You can simply search speech to text. That's the thing we're looking for, because Google Cloud, they provide you so many services. We just need the speech to text. I'm sorry, STT. That's the thing we're looking for. So we get the speech to text, all right, which is the first one. You guys can see Cloud Speech to Text API, because this integration is based on API. Absolutely. So we need this. All right. Get this one, enable this on your Google Cloud platform. That's it. And next step, back over here. Just back over here, okay? So we're back on this is like the home page. Back to the home page, you click on APIs and services, I'm sorry. Then over here we have credentials. Click on that, because we're gonna get the API key. The reason is later on, we're supposed to enter the API key on our PBX to enable this integration. I will show you guys more details later, okay? So this is the preparation work. This is basically the way how you get the API key from Google Cloud, okay? So get this API key, and then you will see something like this. All right, you're gonna be able to get the API key. I mean, it will be created from the Google Cloud, absolutely, all right? Get this API key. Now, that's the point. That's just the key point. Now, of course, you guys can see I got several screenshots here. You can take a look. This is an important notification, so check this. For security purpose, you need to restrict your API key, ensuring only authorized requests are made with your API key. Be careful with that, all right? You don't want anyone else mess up with your API key, so, be careful with that, all right? Get this API key, that's it. That's basically our preparation work. And then we're gonna back to our PBX. So let me show you here. Once you get the API key, what are we supposed to do now, guys? Back on the PBX, you can see here, we have integrations. Click on that, all right. Then you guys will see speech to text. Click on this. Okay, so here's the deal. We're gonna choose the service. First of all, we're gonna choose the service. The service, currently, we just work with Google Cloud. So you can select Google Cloud. That's the only option you have there. And then drop the API key here. Which is the one you get from the Google Cloud, okay? You get it from the Google Cloud platform, get that API key, drop it over here, all right? And then another step, very important, don't forget it, settings. Here we're supposed to choose the languages, okay? We have so many options. Yeastar P-Series system can support lots of languages. And by the way, this service is based on Google Cloud. So, Google Cloud, they provide you so many options of different languages. Absolutely. So make sure you're going to select the correct one. Okay, for example, if I select English, but British version, okay, if I choose British English, I'm pretty sure in the future, this voicemail transcription will not gonna work properly because, you know, my accent is not British accent. So absolutely, it won't work. I mean, it will work. It will definitely work, but you will get something, it won't make sense. All right, that's the thing. That's the point. So make sure the language you're gonna select here is the one you're using right now. That's very important because Google Cloud, the speech to text, speech to text, that service will identify the language you're speaking currently. That's it. All right. So this is what you're supposed to do to enable the speech to text. Speech to text. I'm sorry. Okay. And another point here is if you try to use this feature, another thing, don't forget to back to the call features. All right. Just get back to the call features, find voicemail. Click on it. All right, enable this feature. We have voicemail settings. Click on it, and you can scrolling down a little bit here. You guys can see this voicemail transcription. That's the switch. Make sure it has been enabled. Otherwise, even you get the integration, you know, configured, but you still cannot get the voicemail text version. I mean, the transcription. Okay. So once you figure out everything here, then you back to web client. Let me show you. Back to web client, you click on voicemails. If someone drop a message to you, okay, you can probably just click on this one, view text. So you will be able to get this. For example, like this one. I guess this is the one I dropped before. You guys can see that's just the text version of the voicemail. But of course, if you prefer to play the voicemail, you can do the same thing. Just click on this, play the voicemail directly. Okay. All right. So those two are some advanced features, new advanced features on the P-Series PBX. All right. Now, guys, any questions about them? Any questions about the group, the voicemail transcription or the phone books? Just have a look, guys. Some points, I drop it here on the slides. You guys can take a look. Okay, so guess so far we're clear, right? If there's no questions, I guess we're gonna keep going, all right? Now let's just keep going. So those are some advanced features. I'm gonna turn this thing off. Now, next part, what I'm supposed to talk about here is, I guess, let's just get back on the slides. All right, first of all, I wanna share with you guys something here on the slides. Next part I'm gonna talk about in today's session is going to be NAT. All right. As we know, to be very honest, the NAT configuration is not that important. I mean, it's not that important on the P-Series system, you know, because for remote access, as we know, now we have a pretty smart idea, a pretty smart solution on the P-Series system is called remote access service, right? So it's like if you try to access your web client remotely, like I'm currently working my house, but my system is deployed in the office. So I just want to go access the system remotely, right? Traditionally, I'm supposed to figure out the NAT configuration and also like, you know, port forwarding, something like that. Then I'll be able to do it. But now it's not that necessary for web client. If you try to use the web client for making calls or something, even when you try to use the Linux mobile client, you don't because you have remote access service, right? But what if we try to figure out the hardware desktop phone registration? Then we actually need to use the NAT sometimes, okay? So why do we need the NAT? This might be the question, right? Why do we need the NAT? All right, I guess we can probably just figure out the port forwarding, that's enough, right? But why do we need the NAT? Okay, here's the deal. Have a look, guys. I'll just give you guys an example. You guys can check on this. So let's see, our PBX has been deployed in the office with a very specific private IP address, which is 192.168.8.213. All right. And my IP phone has been deployed in my house. Okay. So if I try to register my IP phone on the PBX, I cannot register that thing on this PBX directly because this is the public network, the internet. So what I'm supposed to do now is I will need to get a very specific, you know, accessible public IP address. So as we know, normally this public IP address has been deployed on the router for business users, for office, right? Pretty sure they're going to use a router. So we got a router, we got a very specific public IP address there. And then the next step we're supposed to do now is because this is going to be the phone registration based on SIP. Mostly we're going to use SIP UDP, right? So we're supposed to figure out the SIP UDP 5060, which is the default configuration. As we know, by default configuration, SIP UDP port 5060, right? We're supposed to map this port on the router, on that public IP address. So you can probably map 5060 to router something else, maybe 5566, whatever it is. You just configure this, all right? And also you will need to map another port, which is the port range, because 5060, that's just for SIP UDP, for your registration, phone registration for SIP, all right? And once you figure out the registration, you also need to use the another protocol, which is RTP for media transmission, right? We're gonna make a call, we're gonna send the audio message, some sort of thing like that, or maybe this is a video call, whatever, just the media transmission. So we also need another port range, which is going to be 10,000 to 12,000. This is by default. All right. Then we just need to map this port on the router, on the public IP address directly. Be careful, guys. When you try to figure out the port forwarding, 5060, you can probably change it to something else. Like in my example, here's 8886. That's the new port on the router. But for the port range, 10,000 to 12,000. Well, we just highly recommend you guys don't change anything there. Just map 10,000 to 12,000 directly on the router. Otherwise, you might probably have something wrong with your calls. Because if you change the port range, your data packet's gonna be lost, pretty sure. Okay, so be careful with that. All right, now, why do we need a NAT? Okay, here's the deal. Take a look on this. When PBX is behind a router and the endpoint devices register remotely, the PBX must tell the public IP during the call to make sure the call can establish correctly. This is what NAT feature does on the P-Series PBX. That's it, guys. So if you never configure NAT, I mean, according to our configuration, it seems that everything's all good, all right. But you know what? When you try to start a call, that basically is kind of like we're gonna send the request to the PBX from our IP phone, right? We're just gonna send the request to the PBX, right? We're gonna send packets, but your packet is gonna get lost if you never configure NAT. You guys can check on the topology. We got two different IP addresses. We got a private IP address, we got a public IP address. Then your packets will go somewhere else. It can never find the proper IP address. So you can't make a call. That's why we need NAT. Okay, so give it a check here. This NAT feature is very fundamental. It's actually available everywhere, not just on P-Series PBX. You can find this NAT feature even on some other PBX. Absolutely. You guys can see this. I got a screenshot. I got something posted on the screen. You guys can see this. The NAT feature in the P-Series PBX, in the PBX, is used to replace the private IP address with public IP address in the SIP data packet. From the last page, we know we must use the public IP address in the SIP packet to let remote side know our public IP and send SIP message back to their comms1 question. That's it. So if you never configure NAT, you will probably send packets to the private IP address, which is 192, blah, blah, blah. That IP address, it doesn't make sense in the public network. So absolutely, your packets will go somewhere you don't even know, right? That's why we need NAT. Okay. So let's give it a check here. By the way, you guys can also see this. How does PBX know when to replace IP address in the SIP pack? Okay. Tell PBX the local IP address range, so all other IP address will be treated as remote destination. Tell PBX its own public IP address, so PBX can replace its local IP address with its public IP address when there is remote destination. That's it. So this is the way how we configure it, guys. I'm gonna switch it on the live demo. Let's give it a check here. Simply jump into your PBX. For this part of configuration, you can click on system, then go for network. Then we have this one. You guys can see public IP and ports. Click on that. All right. Here we have public IP, enable this, all right? Just enable this, very important. And net type here, we got two options. We have public IP address and external host. So the circumstance we were talking about is based on public IP address, right? Because we got a very specific public IP address deployed on the router. So we use public IP address. Well, for external host, that will be another circumstance. If you don't have a if you don't have a fixed IP address, like you got a dynamic IP address from the service provider, from the router, means you're going to use DDNS. That will be totally another story. All right, if you're going to use DDNS to figure out the connection, the remote registration, whatever it is, then you're going to use external host. But we're just talking about what we were talking about is just based on the very specific public IP address. Now for port forwarding, then we just choose the public IP address here. So next step, drop your public IP address over here. This is the one which you have deployed on the router. That's it. That's the thing I mentioned before. Then also don't forget to configure this part, local network identification. You need to tell your system what is the local network information, right? That's very important. So you will be able to figure that out. You will be able to help me to figure out this kind of like a transfer. All right, it's kind of like a transfer. All right, so I will need to tell the system that, hey, this is my local network identification. All right, you can see my local area network. The network segment is 66. So I would just drop it over here. 192.168.66.0 because that's not a very specific IP address. That's just the segment 66. This whole area. I mean, that's it. The subnet mask, don't forget to drop it here as well. And of course, you can add something else. You can add multiple, local network identification. It depends on you. It depends on your local area network. You probably have two different network segments or maybe more. You can just add it over here. And the net mode here, we're going to use yes, absolutely. That's the way how we enable this. All right. Then give it a check here. We also have something else like public ports. Okay, external SIP UDP port. This is just the thing I mentioned before. Just an example. All right, for UDP, we can probably map it from 5060 local to 5566 external, whatever. Just an example. You just need to drop it over here. All right. And you can also map some other ports, by the way, like external Linux port, external web server port, but mostly it's not that necessary because for Linux and even the web access, we can use remote access service, right? That's pretty simple. That's much easier, much simpler. So we can just use the FQDM. We don't have to map any port there. So that's the thing I mentioned at the very beginning about this NAT configuration. Okay. After that, then you simply just click on save, then apply for it, same as usual. That's just the way how we configure a feature on the P-Series PBX. Okay. Well, guys, about the NAT configuration, to be very honest, it's pretty simple. It's not a big deal. And also, by the way, don't forget the port forwarding configuration is based on your router. It's not based on the PBX. What we can do on the PBX is just the NAT configuration. That's it. And as for the port forwarding, you're supposed to get back on your router. You're supposed to configure it there. Okay. And also for NAT configuration, just like I mentioned, it's very important. Don't forget it. All right. I do remember previously we got some customer, feedback. They just told us that, hey, I got something wrong with my communication, with the connection. I just follow all the steps, to configure it. Well, when we check it, then we see, oh, you forgot to configure NAT. That's very important because if you never configure NAT, exactly the thing will happen just like I mentioned. I remember I got an example. Let me show you guys an example here. Here's the deal. I got a screenshot here, which is a pretty good example. Have a look here, guys. Have a look. This is the packet. All right. Just give it a check here. If you never configure NAT, check on the top side without NAT. So you guys can check on the details here. On the first line, you guys can see there, via SIP 2.0 UDP 192.168.8.213. Port is 5060, right? And the contact, guys, the contact is the same thing. It's the same thing, guys. Extension 1003 and IP address is just the local private IP address. I mean, how can you register your extension successfully through the public network? Just give it a check on the packet. It tells you everything. Because you never configure NAT, your IP phone can never find it. You can't find it. I'm pretty sure you're going to get yourself lost in the public network for the phone registration. Well, if you configure NAT, then things are going to be completely different. Now, check on the next line. So you guys will see this. The IP address will be completely different. It will be replaced to the public IP address because this is the one which is, which is valid, which is accessible. That's the legal IP address, right, in the public network. So we can find this particular IP address, 110.80.36.162, and with the port which we were mapped before. I guess which we were mapping before. Okay, 8886. That's just the one I mentioned before. All right, so this is the difference, guys. It really makes difference. Okay, so any other questions, guys? All right, if there's no questions, I guess I'm gonna keep going. All right, now let's keep going. The next part I'm gonna talk about in today's session will be this, static route. So have a look, static route. What is the static route? Why do we need this? This might be our question, right? So I just give you guys an example. Check on our P-Series PBX, guys, please. You will see that there are two interfaces for your Ethernet connection. You got a LAN port, you got a WAN port, right? And as we know, we can set these two interfaces working on our single mode, working on our bridge mode, working on our dual mode, right? If these two interfaces are working on our single mode or bridge mode, that's not a problem. That's absolutely not a problem. We can just handle one network. That's it. But if we set our PBX working on our dual mode, well, then things gonna be completely different. You're gonna use your PBX to handle two different networks, all right? Then if you're gonna handle two different networks, then we got a question now. Just have a look here. Some SIP provider, I got a pretty good example to you guys. Some SIP provider may provide you a dedicated SIP cable or SIP trunk. This cable connect with their server directly. So there will be two network cable connected with your PBX. Think about it, guys. If you got a dedicated SIP trunk in your office, then you will have another cable for internet service. So you have two different networks, absolutely, and they both are connected with the service provider. How can you handle these two different networks on the same PBX? This is going to be the problem for us, right? And you guys can see the problem. I drop it here. There comes one problem. The call to the SIP provider should goes to the WAN port. How does PBX know what SIP manage should be sent to WAN port? I mean, your system gonna get confused. You have two interfaces. How can we handle this? That's why we need static route. That's why we need static route, which can help us to figure out, data transmission. Exactly how are we gonna handle those data packets? Okay. So have a look here. This is the example. All right. Have a look. I'll give you guys an example. Dedicated SIP trunk, you guys can see this. The IP and port is going to be 191.8.88.15, and the port will be 5060. And the dedicated SIP cable information is going to be 110.87. Something something blah blah blah. Anyway, and also you have the local network. All right, you got another one, which is the local network. Okay, so how do we figure out this? Give it a check here. First of all, we're going to go back to basic settings. We're actually going to enable dual mode. That's very important because you have dedicated SIP trunk there, you have network connection, so you need two interfaces, enable dual mode. All right. And the default interface, we're going to select LAN port. All right. Then the LAN port here, we're just drop the local area network. The private IP address, which I was talking about before, right? Drop it over here. And then keep going. Then we go for a WAN port. So WAN port here, we're going to drop the SIP cable information, the SIP trunk information. You get it from the service provider, absolutely. They will give you a very particular IP address. Drop it there, then click on save. So this is the preparation work. And then next step, we're simply gonna go for static route here. All right, just add a new static route. That's very easy. Then check on this. So here's the deal. Add a new static route here. First of all, the destination there, we can see this. 191.8.0.0. Still remember this? That's the information provided by the provider. Then we just drop it over here, the destination, okay? The subnet mask, something basic there, and also the gateway, don't forget it. That's the gateway of your WAN port. Don't forget it, put it over here. And the interface will be WAN port because we're just gonna tell the system that, hey, any packet sent from that particular destination, it's gonna be connected with our WAN port. It will be handled by WAN port. We're gonna use the WAN port to deal with it. All right, because those are the packets from service provider for SIP junking, kind of like that. All right, so this is the way how we add a new static route. All right, just give it a check here. I'm gonna switch it on the live demo. About this part of configuration, once again, it's pretty simple. Step one, go for basic settings. If you prefer to keep your LAN port for the network connection, then you just choose the default interface as the LAN port. Then the Ethernet mode here is supposed to be door mode, all right? Absolutely. Then the WAN port here, drop the static IP address, which is the one you get from the service provider, all right? Then here we go for static routes. So simply just add a new rule here to tell the system that the destination will be the one from the service provider and the interface will be WAN port. We're not gonna be LAN port, we'll actually be WAN port. We'll just make it be more specific, okay? Oh, well, I'm sorry, guys. I'm not going to click on save there. All right, because probably it will change my some configurations here. So I'm not going to click on save there, but just give you guys the example. Hopefully this is clear enough. All right. Okay, so guys, any questions about this? Any questions, guys? If there's no questions, I guess we can probably go for next part. Now, next part for today's session will be this. We can also talk about this, the AMI integration. We do support this. AMI integration, that's the asterisk manager interface, okay? This sort of integration is also supported. Well, to be very honest, I know this is not that popular. It's not that popular because today, most of our integrations with third party, we're gonna use API, which is easier, which is simpler, which is more powerful, more functional. But anyway, we still support AMI, that's it. So the AMI solution, it's like this. We're actually our PBX is gonna work as the AMI server, and for the other, the third party side, gonna work as the AMI client, that's it. So we just realized this sort of integration, okay? For this sort of integration, depends on us. Mostly we're gonna use this for CRM integration. But to be very honest, the major brands in the market you can find there, the integration mostly are based on API instead of AMI. But let's just give it a check here. So the AMI feature is over here. You jump into your PBX, you click on integration, you will see the first one is going to be AMI there. Just enable this AMI. There's a switch, turn it on, and drop your username plus the password. That's it. Set the username and set the password over here, and then permitted IP address added over here. And next step, we're actually going to use something else. We're actually going to use PuTTY configuration. Give it a check here. So we actually need to drop the PBX IP address and the AMI port to the PuTTY to enable this. Use the raw connection type. It's a little bit tricky. It's a little bit complex. Exactly. That's why I mentioned mostly we're going to use API for this sort of integration. All right. Because for this sort of configuration, you even need to use the PuTTY. That will be a little bit complex. So you just need to open PuTTY here. Then enter this particular IP address over here of your PBX and also that specific port. Connection type here, we choose raw. Then we just run it. We just open it. And next step over here. So we have some information we need to drop it here, like the login command to the window. That's very important. That's necessary. So you guys can see this. We got an action here. It's login and the username. I put it over here. And also get a password. set it over here. That's it. Then, I mean, basically that's it. That's just the way how we enable this sort of AMI. Okay. Once again, this is not that popular, to be very honest, because most of our CRM integration are based on API. For example, on our P-Series PBX, we can support Zoho integration that's totally based on API, which is simpler, which is easier, very user-friendly for customers, for you guys, for all of us. Okay. Then we also have database grant. This is also important if you're going to use MySQL client. If we're going to use this sort of service, the database, then you absolutely need to enable this. Just have a look. Okay. So for this part of configuration, it's also pretty easy. We can go for integration. Then you guys will be able to find the database grant. Then simply just enable this. Set the username, set the password, add the permitted IP address. That's it. And as for the next step of our configuration are totally based on MySQL. So if you're going to use the service from MySQL, well, I guess you're supposed to get the MySQL first. Download it from their website. They have so many versions. I mean, you can just get it. And I guess MySQL it's not that big enough. It's not a very strong tool for people to manage their data, but it's a pretty good solution. It's a pretty good deal for SME users, especially for small, medium-sized business users. If they want to manage a lot of data, this might be, I think this is quite popular for them. So they can get this MySQL there. Then they simply just follow this configuration to enable it. That's it. And as for the rest of our configurations, are not based on the PBX, are totally based on MySQL. You're supposed to back to the MySQL to finish your configurations. Okay, so it works like this. Now, once you figure out this, you will be able to use some data from our PBX. For example, like connect and check the CDR table data. It will be synchronized on it. So for some sort of integration, I guess, like a CRM integration, you probably want to sync the CDR, something like that, the details of your call logs, whatever, they're going to be synced there. So that's basically the way how we use it. Okay. All right. So guess that was all we have for today's session, guys. And you guys can have a look there, see if there's any questions. If you have, please drop your questions in the chat panel. And by the way, integrations are here. Many options. We have CRM, speech to text, AMI, and database grant. So have a look. This is the AMI configuration, and this is going to be database grant configuration. Okay. I guess we still have something left. By the way, we still have CRM integration. I'm going to talk about more details of CRM integration, I think maybe tomorrow. Yeah, next session. And I will also talk about the Microsoft Teams integration for the following sessions, of course. Then I think we're also going to talk about something else, like how to figure out the integration between two PBXs, how to connect the Lexis system with our Yeastar system. And I think we're also going to talk about the integration with our gateways. Okay. Okay, got a question here is, could share with us the slides material? Yes, please, sure, guys. Just wait a sec. All right, wait a second. I will need to upload it here. And wait a second, guys. For slides, I think you guys will actually need to you can actually need to apply for it with our agent. I think you guys can contact with Gloria, or you can probably submit the application, some sort of application on our website, because you will need to apply for it, especially apply for the test, the online test. All right, then you will get this learning material. Okay. All right, then, guys, any other questions? If you have, please drop your questions in the chat panel. Thank you, guys. Thank you. Thank you for your time. Yeah, if there's no questions, I guess that was all we have for this session. We'll catch you guys in the next one. Okay, got a question here is, what is the software used to connect with MySQL database? Okay, the previous one, right? Previous one I think is Putty, Putty, that one. Okay, I just type it. Check this. All right, anything else, guys? Okay, so guess that was all we have for today's session, guys. Once again, thank you for your time. Have a nice day. Take care. I will catch you guys in the next one.